Da-da-da-dum, 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 doo. Good evening, one and all. Welcome to this Doctor Who Season 12 commentary on the Sontaran experiment. Would you like a jelly baby? Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Doctor Who Season 12 commentary on the Sontaran experiment, which is the third story in this season, which is only 2 episodes long. It's a short one, but today has been a very hot day in the UK, so I'm joined with my friend Jack the Film Fanatic, and yeah, we're going to watch this short story. I mean, it's we would opt for a longer story, but the weather is just affecting us at the moment, so yeah, sorry, we haven't done a commentary on the Who for quite a while, but I recently purchased the Doctor Who Season 12 Blu-ray box set, and I watched Robot the other day, and I must admit, wow, the quality really is good, and I look forward to when they release all the classic series on Blu-ray. But in any case, yeah, this is just a fan commentary. This is not for financial profit or gain. We're just doing this as fans. So yeah, and if you wish to follow along with us, put your Blu-ray or DVD. I imagine most of you probably have the DVD. Put the timestamp into 0, and then press play when we press play. So yeah, and also, if anybody is watching this in the live chat, if you can hear my fan in the background, please tell me and I'll switch it off. It's just because it's so hot. I'm struggling. So, but if it's coming through on the receiving end, then please tell me, because I don't really want to listen back and hear the fan noise. So anyway, hopefully that's okay. I mean, does it sound okay to you, Jack? It doesn't sound, you're not getting the fan too much?
I can hear it faintly, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's not like making a huge noise or anything, so it's fine.
Okay, good. I'll leave it then, as long as it's not too noticeable. Anyway, I'm going to press play soon anyway on the Blu-ray. Yeah, if it bothers anyone, then please tell me in the live chat and I'll just switch it off. I mean, this is only going to be 50 minutes anyway. So, Jack, is there anything you want to say before we kick this one into gear?
Would you like a jelly baby? I've actually got a packet of jelly babies here, so would you like a jelly baby?
Oh, I'd love a jelly baby. I love to suck them, yes, and love to make them. Oh, good old Tom. Okay, do you want to do the countdown, or shall I do it?
I think I'll do it this time. 3,
Of course.
2, 1, play!
We're in. I like these titles.
Same.
And the
That's really great name too.
Yes, you're right. I was just about to say that. Yeah, the transfer is amazing. For something that was shot back in the 70s, wow, it's impressive.
Yeah. Funnily enough, this story originally was season 12, Tom Baker's first season. Like, they were going to stick with the regular format of having 3 6-parters and about 2 4-parters, but Philip Hinchcliffe decided, and Robert Holmes as well, that they'd only have 1 6-parter. So that's the reason why this story's 2 parts, and you have a 4-part story like Ark in Space. So yeah, I think it was a better thing to do, because I think the 6-parters in the Pertwee era, some of them were too long and padded out. So I'm glad we only have 1 6-part this season, and that's Genesis. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a much better format. I mean, I do like the Pertwee era a lot. Don't get me wrong, but some of his stories are too long, are very long, and can be hard to get through at times. But this is quite a fun little 2-parter. Actually, it's not amazing, but I like it. It's a nice continuation after the Ark in Space, and it's nice that it's all on location, like on the cliffside and the countryside. It makes a change for Doctor Who to go to this.
Yeah, and they filmed this all on outside video, so it's all shot outside, but not on film. It's all done on videotape.
And actually, the restoration on this one compared to Robot looks slightly better, I think, actually. Probably because of the way it was shot.
Yeah. It's a shame Elizabeth Sladen this year. It's been 10 years since she passed away, and it doesn't feel
Yeah.
that long ago since she passed. And I think she's really great with Tom Baker in this story, and well, their whole time together. You're definitely probably the definitive Doctor and companion relationship, arguably of the whole show. So yeah,
I would agree. I would definitely agree. I think Sarah Jane and the Fourth Doctor have one of the best on-screen Doctor companion relationships. But yeah, I mean Harry Sullivan is pretty good too. For a one season companion. Although, well, he will feature in the Zygon. What's it called? Fuck, I
Pair the
forgot.
Zygon.
Terror of the Zygons. Thank you. Yes. They make a good pair, but I mean, Harry does sort of feel like a bit of an add-on at times. He is there to do sort of more physical stuff, a bit like Stephen was in the Hartnell era. But I mean, Tom isn't afraid to get involved in some action. But yeah, like he doesn't have as good a chemistry as Liz Sladen, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I personally quite like Harry Sullivan as a companion, but I think the problem with Harry Sullivan is originally when they were thinking of casting the Fourth Doctor, um, Barry Letts was thinking of a much older man to play the Doctor, and that's the reason why they came up with the character of Harry, because they thought there was going to be an older man playing the Doctor, so he would do all the action stuff. And then when they cast Tom Baker, he was a young man; he was only about 40 years old, so they didn't really need Harry to, it was kind of a little bit useless afterwards. So you know, uh, after one
Yeah,
season and one story, they decided to get rid of him as a companion. But I still think he's a good companion. But yeah, I think
yeah,
you know,
he is
I
decent.
think yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like
I
you
mean, I
say,
think Ian Martin.
he didn't kind of like he ran out of his use. He became a bit redundant, didn't he? Like, so I guess it wasn't Ian Martin's decision to leave, but they wrote him out, which is well, I mean, he gets a better exit than Dodo. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I mean, he was mostly written for action stuff, but because Baker was a younger guy. He kind of became a little bit redundant, so that's why he was written out after one season. But I mean, as for Ian Marter himself, I mean, it's kind of sad what happened to him. I think he died of diabetes quite young. He died in the 80s. But I mean, he wrote a lot of Doctor Who novelizations, and he was actually writing a Doctor Who script with Tom Baker, which he released recently as a book called Scratchman, and it's a Doctor Who novel. So um, he's quite an intelligent guy, and it's kind of a shame he died so young. And for the one season that he's in and the stories, he's pretty good. But yeah, it's a shame that
Yeah,
he couldn't last longer. But yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure whether like this is his best performance or like one of his best appearances because this is the story where Harry gets quite a lot to do. I think he gets, if I remember, he gets quite a lot to do.
yeah, he does. Yeah, and I think he's quite good here. And I mean, as for the story itself, I mean, it's interesting, that they filmed this all on location, and I think the Sontarans here make a pretty good return because we haven't seen them since the last season with John Pertwee, the Time Warrior, and they got back the same actor who played Lynx in that, Kevin Lindsay. Although the Sontaran makeup, I don't think is as good, but that's because I think Kevin Lindsay had a heart attack, so um, he had a health condition, so they reduced the makeup for him for this story, and then sadly, shortly after this story, he passed away. But yeah,
Oh, that's a real shame to hear that. A field of balls.
ah,
Oh. Actually, it's the fact that they're on location, um, makes up for some of the cheaper effects. I mean, even though I would say like the models and stuff in this one aren't actually that bad. To be fair,
yeah, And I kind of like how this season it all sort of ties together. You've got sort of like a mini story arc here because you've got all the stuff with Nerva Beacon, and that sort of
Yeah.
ties into Ark in Space, and then they bring it up again
Hmm.
in Revenge of the Cybermen. So it's kind of
See,
set at the
Moffat,
same time
you can
as
write a
Ark in
story arc
Space.
if you want to. Stupid Moffat. He should have taken notes from season 12.
Yeah, yeah. Well, clearly he didn't have the understanding of the show that Philip Hinchcliffe did and Robert Holmes.
Yeah, the only thing he can comprehend is his own cock.
Yeah. Oh dear. I think Tom Baker's really great in this as well. Like, I mean, you know, I think instantly when you first see him in Robot, he nails the role, and he's really good in this story as well. And it's kind of a shame what happened to him later on in this story because he broke his collarbone, so he had to get a stunt double for all the fight scenes with Steyer. But
Hmm.
yes, but
No, he does a good job,
thankfully,
and he like I say, throws himself into the role, and you can clearly tell that he had a lot of love for this character, and no wonder he stayed for 7 years.
yeah. I think with this story and the previous story, this is the second story produced by Hinchcliffe, and you can see they're going for like a darker, uh, going down a darker route with this story and Ark in Space, like more horror element to it, which I think works for me. The Hinchcliffe era is my favorite era of the show because I think
Hmm.
Robert Holmes and Philip Hinchcliffe they were trying to make it more accessible for like adults and children, and they made it more mature and grown up, and I think it works.
Yeah, it's a little bit more gritty than some of the previous stuff. Although with Pertwee though, they did try and edge it in a dark direction at times. But yeah, sadly after Tom's era, it goes it descends into campy land. For the most part anyway. I mean, there's a few Davison stories that are quite serious, but yeah, once Davison leaves, yeah, we're stuck in campy land until probably towards the end of McCoy. So yeah, the show kind of fluctuates in tone a lot. Um, I mean, I guess that's kind of reminiscent of the new series as well. Doctor Who's always had a very jumbled tone, and that's not always a bad thing. But yeah, with Tom's era to begin with, they definitely had a good. They had a vision, and they took it in a great direction.
Yeah, and they definitely get darker with like Genesis of the Daleks and Deadly Assassin and Tunnels of Wing Chang. But yeah, but I mean, as for the Sontarans, I mean, in the new series, like it's kind of a shame what they did with them with Strax. I mean, Moffat kind of turned the Sontarans into a bit of a joke, to be honest. Like, that's why I think the Sontarans are better in the classic series. Well, apart from the series 4 story, they were really good in that. But they take them
Yeah.
seriously in the classic series, and the Sontarans are more intelligent. It seems in the classic series, and with Moffat, he just he took the character Strax and he just made the Sontarans into a fucking joke, and it just became a
Well,
bit of a bad joke, really. But
yeah, I can see
yeah,
your point about Strax. I don't know if the Sontarans are ever meant to be taken that seriously. I mean, they're walking baked potatoes. I mean, the very nature of the design to me is quite silly and light-hearted. That's how it comes off to me, anyway. Um, I always have to laugh because it is like the invasion of the baked potatoes. But they have their good stories in the classic era, and yeah, they have that one story with David Tennant in the new series. So yeah, they've had their good innings, but they're just not my favorite villains. But I like this story. This is quite fun, and yeah, it's nice to have them back.
yeah. I mean, personally, I think the Sontarans, even though they do look a bit ridiculous, I mean, I think for the most part they're pretty serious. I mean, they're sort of a warrior race, but I mean, I think with Moffat, it kind of annoyed me with the Sontarans because they're supposed to be the Doctor's enemy and just sort of turning them into a bit of a joke. But I mean, that's why I like them in this story, and Invasion of Time and Time Warrior and stuff, where they're actually taking them seriously. And I think as the Sontarans went on, they kind of maybe, you know, I don't know what they didn't know what they were trying to do. The Sontarans, especially in Moffat, like I think it's kind of a shame that we haven't had a proper Sontaran story since then. But I mean, I heard they're coming back, and even though I'm not watching the show anymore, I heard they're having a proper Sontaran story again in the next series with Chibnall. But yeah,
Shitnall
yes,
and Jodie Whittaker.
yeah.
Oh no! Look out for the baked potatoes.
Yeah. I quite like the supporting cast here. Like this guy's interesting. How he's sort of been like tortured by the Sontaran, and you know, and the reason why the Sontaran's experimenting on them is to find out about the human race and their weaknesses, so that they can invade and take over. So it's kind of an interesting story here.
Yeah, it is an interesting plot, even though it's a very brief story at 2 parts. But yeah, I agree. There's a great supporting cast, and yeah, it's a fun one. It's a good fun romp as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I used to watch this story a lot when I was younger because it was so short. It was only like 2 parts, and I had the DVD of it. I used to watch it a lot. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think it works at 2 parts, and I mean, I'm glad that they changed the format for Tom Baker. Got rid of the excessive 6 parters and only had like a 6 parter to close off the season. It works a lot better in terms of pacing for the show, I think, as well. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. Though for this season they had Revenge of the Cybermen as the ending, which was surprisingly baffling to me. I would have swapped it round, but oh well.
yeah, I agree with you. I think Genesis would have been a better ending to the season. I mean, Revenge of the Cybermen definitely isn't as good as Genesis, but um, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they did
Well,
that, but
I
I mean,
mean, it was okay, but it didn't really hold a candle to Genesis for me.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was good, but not like one of my favorites. But I mean, it's kind of interesting, like the Cybermen and the Daleks in this season, because like Tom Baker, if you think about it, he's the longest era, but he doesn't really encounter the Cybermen or the Daleks too much, which I'm kind of thankful of. They didn't overuse them. Like he only meets the Cybermen once during his era, and the Daleks twice in Genesis and Destiny, and he only meets the Sontarans twice as well. So yeah, I like the fact that they were trying to be more original with some of the aliens in his era than just reusing the Daleks and Cybermen constantly.
Yeah, I agree. There is a tendency to overuse the Daleks and the Cybermen. So I'm not saying I would never watch the Sontarans, but I just wish again, it's one of those things where I just look at them and I can't completely take them seriously. And I mean, it's certainly in the classic series they've got some good moments, but I just prefer other villains. That's just me. But yeah, I feel bad that Tom didn't encounter the Cybermen at least one more time, considering he had 7 years in the role. But oh well.
Yeah, no, it's really weird. It's really weird because after the invasion, Troughton's last Cyberman story, the Cybermen only appear twice in 14 years. There's a 7 year gap between invasion and the invasion and this story, and then there's a 7 year gap between this and Earth Shock. So it's kind of weird that they, like Pertwee never met the Cybermen and Baker only met them once. So um, yeah, it would have been nice if he met the Cybermen one more time, but yeah, um,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like also with Paul McGann. I wish he was able to encounter a lot of these villains. I know he does in audio form, but like on screen, it would have been so nice if he got his own series.
yeah,
This story is quite action based, which is good. It's very exciting. I mean, there's never a dull moment. you're not going to be bored watching it, which is good. Um, it's no masterpiece, but it's just so much fun, and everyone gives such a good performance.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoy it. I think it's not my favorite of the season. It's probably my least favorite, but still saying that I really enjoy it for what it is. It's still a fun story. But I mean the supporting cast are good. I think the characters are well developed. For a two-part story, they do a pretty good job with the character development, like the different characters here, like the guys being tortured and these guys who like suspect the doctor, and yeah.
I love Tom's smile and his bulging eyes. That sort of makes him so alien in this role.
Yeah. What I love about Tom's Doctor as well is, one moment he could be like laughing and joking with you, and then in the next minute he could be like deadly serious. And I think that's what makes him my favorite Doctor, is that he's sort of got that alien quality to him, and he has the right balance of humor and darker moments as well.
Yeah, and the way he slowly transitions between those things is really quite amazing. Really, and that's the genius of the Doctor, is that he's so spontaneous. He can be like that, especially when he regenerates as well. This is a good scene. This is but even in the deadliest confrontations, the Doctor, like, he gets off on it. He loves the adventure. He loves the thrill, and Tom definitely displayed that very well.
Yeah, it tickles his jelly boobies. Well,
Like a jelly baby.
yeah, they've done a really good job with the Blu-ray transfer here, and it looks pretty sharp and crisp, which is good.
And all the classic series deserves to be seen this way.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do at the black and white seasons, because they probably have to animate them before they release a complete season of the 60 series on Blu-ray. But yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine that these box sets they're releasing now, they'll continue releasing them, and then when they get to seasons 1 to 6, those will be the last ones to release. Like you say, they have to animate all the stories that are missing, so it's going to take a while, but it'll be worth it in the end.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're almost halfway through the story.
Yeah, that's pretty well paced. I mean, it's only 2 parts anyway, so it flies by, which is good.
Do I have the wipe?
Freak! He's cut away!
Kind of interesting in the classic series that we never find out the name of the Sontaran's home planet. It's only in the new series you find out in series 4.
Yeah. What is it called? Sontar.
Yeah, Sontar. Yeah.
Well, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that war chant they have, the Sontar have, but I mean it's fine, I suppose. But
I don't really mind
yeah.
it that much. It's okay. I quite like the music of this story, though.
Yeah, I think it's Dudley Simpson again, and yeah, good soundtrack. Kind of a shame a lot of the Dudley Simpson soundtracks are no longer existing separately. I mean, they exist within the stories, but the soundtracks themselves, a lot of them are missing, which is a shame.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I'm sure in the BBC archives they'll be able to find them from somewhere. But yeah, that is a shame. That's the thing, like Tom Baker, what a man, set such a precedent with this role that whoever was going to follow him was always going to fall flat in comparison. I mean, I can see why they chose Davison. I mean, okay, he's younger, he was, slightly had a different energy, but ultimately for me, Davison just did not compare. Like, he was all right, but he was flat, although he did pull it out of the bag in his last story. But
yeah,
I kind of wish they did choose somebody else, but I'll always have respect for Davison for coming after Tom Baker, though.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Baker was always a tough act to follow, but I think the problem with Davison is that his doctor's just kind of bland in comparison to Tom Baker. Like, Tom Baker's doctor is very eccentric and very alien, and Davison's doctor is probably the most human doctor, and he doesn't really have those eccentricities. And I think the writing kind of let him down as well. Like, the writing in his era could have been a lot better at points. You know, he had some pretty crap stories sometimes. Like, I didn't care for Castrovalvo or for the Doomsday, you know, and stuff like Time Flight as well. But yeah,
That's definitely his worst story. Time Flight. It's just that's terrible.
Yeah, I think Davison's Doctor could have been a bit more eccentric and a bit more confident, but JNT wanted to go the exact opposite direction for Davison's Doctor compared to Tom's Doctor. He wanted to make the Doctor more fallible, but yeah, I don't really think it paid off. But
No. I mean, I guess I give credit for the last story, Caves of Androzani. Like, I guess it showed that there was a story arc there. His Doctor did get confident, and he did step up by the end. And for me, Davison really became the Doctor in the very last story that he did, and he couldn't have gone out on a better note. But yeah, the journey to that was, it was all right. But yeah.
Yeah, I really like this cliffhanger.
I did it again. I picked up a stupid potato.
Oh. I mean, talking about that robot, like the robot in that story kind of reminds me of that like Black Scout robot from The Empire Strikes Back, the one that arrives on Hoth. I think that robot they have in the story is quite good.
You're right, actually. It is very similar to that.
Yeah, I think it works for this story. It's a pretty nifty little robot. But yeah. We're already halfway through. Yeah, I love the title sequence as well for Tom Baker.
Tom had a good title sequence, even though they changed it in his last season. Well, fair enough. It was probably due for a change by that point. They've been using the same titles for like 7 years, more or less. If you include Pertwee's last season.
Yeah, they've been using that title sequence and logo for a long time, so it was about time they changed it for last season.
Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for JNT, I think Tom probably would have gone on forever. He probably would have stayed right the way into the 80s, but no, I mean, it was probably the right time for him to go anyway. He'd been there for a long time, but it's sad under what circumstances, though, because of the changing show and the new producer, and yeah, like you say, he was nudged out the door.
Yeah, it is a shame, but yeah, I think Kevin Lindsay's really good here as the Sontaran. For me, he's the best actor to play a Sontaran. He's just got that really sort of threatening presence about him, like the voice and stuff. And I think Elizabeth Sladen's really good here. She really sells it. That the fact that she's encountered a Sontaran before, and she thinks that Sontaran's linked.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And yeah, Kevin Lindsay probably. He's the Sontaran I could take the most seriously, which is odd because his makeup is arguably quite silly, but it's fine for the time.
Your opinion of my looks is of no interest to my progress.
I just think he's a threatening voice and demeanor about him, and it's a shame that he died shortly after this. But he's sort of he's the first actor to play Sontaran and did a great job here in the Time Warrior and in this story. And I think what I like about the Sontarans he plays, they're quite ruthless. They're not no time for joking around. He just kills him like that. He doesn't care.
Yeah, In fairness, the Sontarans never, you know, they made me look at maybe never look at the baked potatoes in the same way again.
You as a female are far more interesting.
Oh, horny bastard!
Oh. No,
Even the potato is hitting on Sarah Jane.
apparently, Philip Hinchcliffe, like after that scene there, he went all the way up the hill to congratulate Lisbeth Sladen on her acting, and yeah, she does sell it. You know, the fact that she's encountered a Sontaran before Lynx, and she thinks that he's the same Sontaran when he's seen it from a different clone batch, and it's interesting the story here. Like, you know, Lynx trying to experiment on the humans to find out all the weaknesses and stuff, and you know,
Yeah,
that's how the Sontarans can invade.
I suppose you could argue that there's a bit of fourth wall breaking going on with the. Maybe it's a reference to the fact that he is the same actor. I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was more to do with the fact that Sontarans are supposed to look identical, but yeah. I mean, no, Tom Baker here. Like, I don't know what scene exactly where he broke his collarbone, but like later on in the story, if you look close enough, you can tell that it's a stunt double. But you know, they do a pretty good job disguising the fact that it's Tom Baker, the stunt double for Tom Baker scenes.
Yeah, I think it's convincing, and I totally bought it.
I like the stuff here, Harry, that he's trying to help this guy because he's, you know, he hasn't had water in several days, and he's quite, you know, tell he's sort of on the cusp of death.
Yeah. Oh God. There's a real sort of survival element to this story. It's a bit of a, it's quite dark actually when you think about it. Like these people have been tortured and are struggling to survive. I mean, this guy's acting is very good.
Yeah, you know, you feel like he's, you know, about to die, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you've got
just-
some good stuff with Harry here. Yeah, so I've only had my jelly babies.
Time to die.
Push the girls sink ship. There were 9
Yeah.
survivors.
Oh God, yeah. Phil Mitchell would be a great Sontaran. I mean, he looks like one.
Yeah, Phil and Grant, they'd make a great pair of potatoes.
Yeah, yeah. They'd be a great bunch of Sontarans. Should audition to play them. Oh. Oh. One thing I will say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's a guy here who said, "Where's the link?" I'm not sure what he's talking about because he's already watching the stream. So.
I don't know, maybe he wants to join the commentary, but me and Ollie are just doing the commentary for this, so.
According to my dicta, you should not exist.
Will you be finishing
One
the
thing
Harry
I will-
Potter series anytime soon? Oh yeah, did we not finish our Harry Potter commentaries?
I think we did, yeah.
All right, well we'll have to check that, but Monkismo, we'll have a check, and if we haven't finished it, then we will finish them at some point.
I think we need to redo. I think the only commentary we had left was to redo Prisoner of Azkaban because I think it was originally taken down because of a copyright strike or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't remember us doing the last few. Like, I think we got up to like the Half-Blood Prince. I don't remember doing the Deathly Hallows, but we'll have a check.
Yeah, we'll do them at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is I kind of wish the Sontarans kept their like outfits black in the new series. Apparently, the reason they changed them to blue was because of the Jadoon. They thought their outfits would look too similar to the Jadoon if they were black, but yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I mean that makes sense, I suppose. They've got us on the run. with guns and knives. We're fighting for our lives.
Wrong media franchise.
They've come to save the world with Casino Royale.
Yeah.
It's Pac-Man.
G3 intelligence. G3 intelligence.
Just get some beans and mash them up.
My report, Marshal. Get on with it then.
Oh,
As we knew.
It's interesting he plays both Sontarans here. He plays the Commander Sontaran and the Sontaran here.
well, the way I see
I
it,
mean,
Doctor Who was always trying to cut costs. There's only, I guess it's harder to find smaller actors. So I guess it made sense to use him, and they didn't have to pay anyone else.
I mean, I personally think it works because the Sontarans are clones. So the fact that he sounds and looks exactly the same, it works for the story.
Exactly. Yeah, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah. Kind of a shame that the last Sontaran story in the classic series is pretty crap. The two Doctors. Definitely not a high point for the Sontarans.
No, unless you want to see people eating rats, then yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame that in the classic series the Sontaran makeup gets genuinely worse. Like Time Warrior, it's I think at the best, and then the story it's not as good, and then Invasion of Time it's not great, and then Two Doctors it's crap. The Sontaran makeup, but yeah.
Then it's not too bad in the new series.
Yeah, no, I mean they did a good job with the new series, but it's kind of a shame in the classic series that Sontaran masks got worse as they went along. But
Snake.
I like the stuff like with Links, like he's put that thing in Sarah Jane's head, so she's seeing like these hallucinations, like she sees that snake and stuff. Like it's pretty interesting.
I guess it's in a way sort of a method of torture. Really, they're trying to keep her installed with fear, which is ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking disgusting.
Sarah, listen to me, Sarah. It's not fear. You understand? Nothing is happening. We're going to be in your life. Fight it, Sarah.
Oh, good acting from Elizabeth Sladen.
Indeed. I mean, of all the classic companions to return to the show in the new series, I'm glad it was her.
Very touchy.
Yeah, same.
Speak of an abomination.
Oh shit!
Words will never prevail against Sontaran might. I did nothing.
What did you
Oh
do?
dear.
Resurrected those things which lay buried in the
Tom Baker's acting there is pretty good. Oh, you despicable abomination.
ground fear.
You really are a cunt. That's all you are. His
Yeah,
toy
just trick the potato man. Yeah. Oh, dear.
I mean, it's actually quite endearing that Doctor Who, the only way to get through it is on a budget, and they, even though you laugh at it sometimes, it's hard not to appreciate it now. I do think it's kind of there's something slightly amusing and endearing about some of the props and sets and everything.
I mean, I kind of actually like the fact that the classic series was more inventive with its budget. They made models and there's more effort put in with the models and effects. They tried their best sometimes and it didn't always work out. But there's one thing I'll say about the new series is maybe they overused the CGI. And I mean, the classic series, I think the main thing I take away with the classic series is even if sometimes the effects don't hold up, they do make up with it with the storytelling. They know how to write a good story. Unlike Moffat, and Moffat, his era may have had pretty good special effects, but the writing wasn't there.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say that's kind of interesting about this, I mean, it's like a minor criticism, but the Sontaran here, instead of having 3 fingers, he has 5 fingers, which I don't know why that is for this story. I mean, they must have forgotten from the time where the Sontarans had 3 fingers, but after this, they go back to having 3 fingers in all the other Sontaran stories. But yeah,
Feels it in his fingers. He feels it in his toes.
fish fingers and custard.
Fish fingers and custard, Clara.
I mean, if a Sontaran had a potato, it would probably be cannibalism to him.
Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, this heat.
Yeah, it's very warm.
Do you still not have a fan?
No, but I'm alright. I mean, I've got a glass of water and stuff, so I'm not that warm.
Fair enough. I feel sorry for you.
Conclusion. The kingdom's fluid is a significant weakness which should be exploited in our attack.
Go on, Harry. Hit him into next week.
All we wanted was to have a nice roast dinner with a nice roast potato. And now everyone's tied up and fucking miserable.
How do you like your potatoes? Boiled, fried?
I like mine roasted, actually.
Yeah, same.
Roast potatoes are the best.
Agreed. With a nice bit of gravy.
Oh, yes. Good gravy.
Sontarans. I really love that outfit that Tom Baker wears in season 12, that red jacket with the scarf and everything. It's definitely my favorite outfit that he wears as the Doctor.
Yeah, Tom had probably one of the best costumes for any Doctor, to be honest. I mean, well, fucking Colin Baker's costume, well, that's just embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I think someone said that, Colin Baker's multicolored outfit makes Tom Baker's scarf look like a tuxedo.
Oh,
Oh.
I mean, the spacesuits are pretty cool as well. Like, there's great costumes for this story.
Yeah.
Lump of
And yes,
filth.
it's interesting how he makes the weights heavier.
Oh,
Because if they let go, they're going to crush that guy's chest. I really like the Sontaran ship as well. It's pretty cool, like the design of it.
it looks like a disco ball.
He's going to report to Darth Vader.
Everything's going to be all right.
Yes.
Or die!
Yeah.
Goodbye.
One thing I'll say as well is at least they don't overuse the Sonic in the classic series. Like, I think during the Matt Smith era, it kind of becomes a bit of a magic wand, sadly. But yeah,
Expecto Patronum. Yeah, I suppose the Sonic did become a bit of a sort of means to sort of use as a bit of a cop out for a lot of resolutions of stories, but yeah.
yeah, like Part 3, like the ending is literally just they use the Sonic and they save the day.
Major star, sir. Star, your constant delays are causing alarm. We must have your report.
I mean, props to Tom Baker. I mean, he soldiered on with a broken collarbone, and despite the broken collarbone, he finished the story and he did a really good job.
Ordered by the Grand Strategic Council.
I think Tom Baker was kind of worried that they might replace him after this story because he broke his collarbone, and they were worried if he could finish the rest of the series. But thankfully, he did manage to finish the rest of the series, and he was still a doctor, so it was good.
We've got an invasion on our hands. Invasion? What do you mean, star? Thousands exactly.
You there?
The entire galaxy. Requires some strategic importance.
Don't know where Ollie's gone, but
Star told you.
I'm here.
It's making an assessment of your
Sorry.
physical limitations.
I'm struggling a bit because of the weather.
I thought you'd be falling asleep already. I'd be.
No. Sorry, man.
That's all right.
Making on it, single combat.
I mean, we're nearly at the end, anyway.
Mm. Let's rip the cunt to shreds.
Sontaran's never turned out a chance to kill something.
I'm going to fight that potato.
I tried him out. He's pretty unwieldy for all his strength.
Oh.
He's not used to it.
Oh yeah, still got the sword fight, haven't we?
Yeah.
That is a really good climax, actually. The old sword fight.
Yeah. It's Tom Baker had a couple good sword fights, like this one, the one the Andrew Zatara. It's a shame that Davison's sword fight in King's Demons was pretty rubbish, but yeah.
It was just a bit.
Yeah.
Style.
You, but I killed you. Another mistake, Star.
Another mistake.
Trapped, yes.
Yeah.
Evaluating are not Earth warriors. They are slave class, the lowest form of human intelligence. You lie.
It's interesting he's trying to deceive Styre.
That's right.
I represent
Yeah.
the true warrior class.
It's weird because all Sontarans are meant to be clones, so I don't know why they bother giving them names.
The mighty warrior
Yeah.
shifts behind his gun.
I suppose they have to, I suppose it'd be confusing if, they wanted to find out who's in command. They didn't have a name, but, yeah.
Hmm. Fight me, cunt.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Even though it's not Tom Baker fighting there, they did a good job of disguising it.
His smile.
Doctor isn't afraid to get his hands dirty in a fight.
Good on Kevin Lindsay for fighting with the prosthetics and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure he must have been sweating his balls off in that suit.
Oh yeah, it can't have been very comfortable to wear.
Yeah. Oh, Harry's being of use.
Oh. Oh no.
It's not over yet. I'll finish with you later.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like watching it on Blu-ray now. It's kind of more obvious there, like when Tom Baker jumped over the rock. It's kind of obvious it was a stuntman wearing a wig. Well, I suppose it's more obvious now on Blu-ray, but just one brief sequence.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. They had to do it. It's not too much of a problem for me, but yeah, it is more noticeable.
Yeah, no, it's still a pretty good fight. I think they do a good job here.
You're weakening.
Ooh.
Oh, lethal.
I shall kill you all now. But first, I have more important tasks to perform.
Why don't you just fuck off?
Why don't you just die another day?
Is this what you meant? Let's get out of here.
Doctor, Star is still alive. He saved your life.
Everybody out, fast as you can. Come on.
Oh, let's get out of there. Oh yeah, this is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Oh, I could have laughed at it.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
end
I
of
mean,
that.
they didn't have CGI back then, so I can forgive it.
Yeah, it does look quite amusing though. But again, endearing and a testament to the limited resources they had at the time.
Yeah.
Ask Harry if he did it.
What is this thing anyway?
It's a sort of Tyrolean diode bypass transformer. Yes. Sontarans, as I told you, sometimes need to feed on pure energy. By removing that, you alter things slightly in the end to fit on.
He killed the Sontaran.
Blast from the galaxy.
Yes.
Say your prayers for the potato.
It's a pretty good story then for Harry, since he gets quite a bit to do in this one.
Star, your report. The intelligence.
Report? Yeah, about that.
Your Waterloo, Marshal. Your intelligence mission has been destroyed and your invasion plans in our hands. One
Oh.
Oh, wide world in your hands.
Doctor's outsmarted the Sontarans again.
That's Styles' report.
Style.
Destroy Earthling. We shall utterly destroy you.
Not today.
Not today.
Tom Baker, you gotta love him.
Sure you will join us? No, we'll wait till that lot from Nerva get here. Thanks all the same. And trust
And
me,
that's the end of that.
please.
It's a very short one.
Yeah, short but sweet though.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I should stand back if I were you. I mean, it should be all right.
It's a funny ending.
Yeah, because they need to find the TARDIS, don't they?
Yeah. They don't get the TARDIS back till Revenge of the Cybermen.
Well, that was fun.
Yes.
I enjoyed that story. I think it's good fun. I don't think the narrative's anything amazing, but it's a fun way to reintroduce the Sontarans, and some great location work, great action, great sword fight. I don't think the makeup for the Sontarans is as good as before, but it's decent enough. And Tom is great as the Doctor. Liz Sladen is great as Sarah. Ian Martin's particularly good as Harry. He gets quite a lot to do, and the supporting cast do a very good job. So yeah, I think if my memory serves me correctly, I think I gave it a 7 or an 8 out of 10, but I can't remember. But I think I will give it an 8 out of 10 because I think it's fun. But it is only 2 parts, and it breezes by, and yeah, it doesn't drag, so you're never going to be bored watching it. So yeah, I think they did a very good job, and especially Tom for like getting through the injury of his collarbone. Even though he didn't do his own stunts, he still kept up his enthusiasm for the part, and he still acted very well. So appreciation must be given for that.
Yeah, I mean, as for me, I think the Sontaran Experiment's a pretty good story. I mean, it's nothing special. I mean, it's only 2 parts long, so there's not a huge amount of story in there. But for what it is, the story's fun. I like the Sontaran here, Steyer, played by Kevin Lindsay, and sadly he would pass away shortly after this. But I mean, he's definitely, I think, the best Sontaran actor, and he was great in the Time Warriors, and he's great in this. And yeah, I don't think the makeup is as good because he had a heart condition, so they made the mask a lot lighter for him, so he could play the Sontaran here. But for the story itself, I think it's pretty fun. I think Tom Baker is excellent in the role. It's his 3rd story, and he's definitely the Doctor. The definite Oracle, you might say, like he said in Robot, and I think Elizabeth Sladen is very good as well as Sarah Jane. Sadly, it's been 10 years this year since she passed away, but she's really good here, and I think Ian Marter is very good as Sarah Sullivan as well, and it's probably my least favorite story of the season because it's only 2 parts, but at the same time, it's a good story, but it's not like one of my absolute favorite Tom Baker stories, but it's still enjoyable for what it is, and the Blu-ray for this is pretty good. So I'll close off by giving the Sontaran Experiment a 7 out of 10.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, personally, I prefer it to Revenge of the Cybermen. But you know, Revenge of the Cybermen has its good points, but for me, I struggled to get into that story personally. But maybe that's another commentary for another day. Yeah, I like this one. It's a good Sontaran story, and you know, great little fun adventure for Tom Baker. It's good for a rainy day. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the Sontaran experiment. What do you all think of this story? Please comment down below and let us know. Thanks to everybody in the live chat who commented, and yeah, we'll be back for future Doctor Who commentaries. And yeah, until next time, I'm Mr. Thomas 11. This is Jack the Film Fanatic. See ya. Bye for now.